Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good morning and welcome to historic TCL Chinese Theatre IMAX. Sid Grauman's time-honored tradition of placing handprints in the wet cement began right here 99 years ago when silent film star Norma Talmadge accidentally stepped into wet cement right here in this very courtyard. Since those first accidental imprints nearly a century ago, it has gone on to become the longest-running awards tradition in Hollywood, with more than 400 actors, directors, and producers whose work has had a lasting impact on the movie industry honored. Today, that tradition continues, as we immortalize and celebrate the career of Sigourney Weaver, an actress whose performances have helped inspire and transport audiences to worlds beyond our imaginations. From facing the unspeakable terror of deep space in Alien, to exploring the beauties and wonders of the world of Pandora in Avatar, as well as her many other unforgettable performances over the years. She has become one of the defining figures of not only science fiction, but modern cinema as a whole. Sigourney will next be seen in a galaxy far, far away as Colonel Ward in The Mandalorian and Grogu, opening right here in IMAX and theaters all around the world next Friday, May 22nd, and which of course had its premiere right here on Hollywood Boulevard last night. So today, we are happy to honor an actress whose work helped shape the very legacy of science fiction storytelling on screen by immortalizing her and her hands and feet and legacy in the wet cement right here at the TCL Chinese Theater's forecourt of the stars. And now, to get things started, please join me in welcoming our host and ambassador to the TCL Chinese Theater Hand and Footprint Ceremonies, radio icon and the host of the nationally syndicated Ellen K Morning Show, the #1 morning show in Los Angeles. Please welcome Ellen K.
Well, thank you, Levi. It's always so great to be here in the forecourt on special days like this. So good to see you again, Mr. Cameron, and to meet you, Pedro, and also Sigourney Weaver. I just got off the air, and I told my listeners that you were getting your star here, of course, and I said, give me just some adjectives to describe Sigourney Weaver, and they are beautiful words, and I would like to share them with you. Let's see. Of course, talented, warm, self-aware, fearless, funny, and excitable. I thought those were really beautiful words. So let's get this day started. We have great friends here, a lot of love. Pedro Pascal is here today, not as a star, but as a friend, which tells you everything you know to know about Sigourney Weaver, surrounded by people who are genuinely good. So welcome the guy who's mastered the art of making us feel things through a helmet, through tears, and through pure charisma, Pedro Pascal.
I know I'm doing it on an iPad. Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm just going to dive right in. First memory, a woman in a spacecraft lit by flashing strobe lights, saving a ginger cat from a terrifying monster. Zero dialogue, just brilliant thinking on a brilliant face. I was hooked. A kid's heart immediately tethered to a performance, to a survivor, to a protector. So began my lifelong love of Sigourney Weaver and my love of being scared. So much so that I was able to convince a friend's mom to take us to see The Year of Living Dangerously because it sounded scary. And of course it starred Sigourney Weaver. Instead of scary, I met sweeping romance, adult love, political values, and a vision of that woman in space, now walking in the pouring rain of Indonesia with that Vangelis score. No words again, just expression and movement, the weight of human suffering and moral choice falling wet from the sky above over the form of one of our greatest actors. James Cameron's Aliens shattered all ceilings. I've been playing Space Dad in the Star Wars universe for 8 years now, but Sigourney Weaver is the original space mom. Her maternal instincts helped annihilate a colony of these horrifying aliens, bringing leadership, command, grief, rage, and ultimately love to the very center of an action, drama, horror masterpiece in a leading lady performance for the ages. Not to mention already having held her own with all the funniest men in Ghostbusters. Working Girl and Gorillas in the Mist made that year one of my favorite years in movies. Because of Sigourney, I read Diane Fossey's book cover to cover. I listened to Maurice Jarre's score, his heartbreaking cello like it was a lullaby. I listened to it repeatedly so that I could remember her on that mountain and the utter power of that performance. I've lost my way on my iPad. This is the way. I was such a fan that when Catherine Parker's plan is foiled in Working Girl, I felt protective because no one speaks to Sigourney Weaver that way. You understand? So for the next few decades, she has kept on giving and leading, humbly stepping into every form like an absolute badass. I want to thank you for leading me, for teaching me, for making me ask more and more of my own dreams, and most of all, for becoming my friend. We share stories of being on stage, doing regional theater, of what it was like to get a first job, making my life, my dreams, my love of acting and movies, of storytelling, an absolute full circle moment. I had big dreams as a kid, thanks to you, but I never thought they could be this big. I want to thank you for all the doors you have opened for women, for entertaining us across all genres and mediums, and for having me here today. You are a legend. You are my friend. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not as smart as Pedro, who wrote it all down. I just have a couple of bullet points here, but I'm speaking from the heart, and it's such a pleasure to be here. We're all here to honor this miracle of a human being named Sigourney, self-named by Sigourney. And, you know, all of you know her as this amazing actor, but, you know, I am blessed and honored to know you as a friend of way too long. I don't even want to talk about it. We've worked together multiple times over the years, starting with Aliens, 1985. Oh my God, for which she was nominated for Best Actress Oscar, and you know, that was kind of a milestone. It was, I think, the first time that an actress had been nominated in a genre of science fiction or horror, and that was a huge milestone for the genres that we love so much in its day. And she's been nominated a number of times since, and really pretty overdue for that Oscar there, kiddo. I'm just saying. But, you know, anyway, screw the Oscars. You know you've arrived when you get your hands in the cement, right? And they'll uncover this like a million years from now. And, you know, those cave guys that put their hands up, they didn't sign their names, but they'll read it and it'll say, they'll go, you know, Sigourney Weaver. She must have been like a goddess, right? And she is. In my book, you are a goddess. So we met on Aliens in 1985. Little anecdote around that. I'd been working on the script for 4 or 5 months, and I had Sig's picture up right in front of my writing desk. But we'd never met. The producers that had known you for 7 years had assured me, Sigourney's on board, you know, she's got an option, we've got her. I get the script done and they say, actually, she's not on board and you have to go talk her into it. So they nominated me to go talk to Sigourney because they were petrified of you. So now I'm petrified driving up to meet you in Santa Barbara. And of course, I'm staring at Ripley. I don't know you, and I find this, you know, incredibly warm, super intelligent, wonderful, funny person who, fortunately for me, actually really liked the script and signed on and kind of, you know, the rest is history. I don't think we knew what we had until we were at the premiere in Westwood. And when she comes out, she rocks out in that power loader and says, "Get away from her, you bitch." The crowd went apeshit. I mean, you know what premieres are like. It's 1,000 of your closest friends with their knives out, ready to hate your movie. They went apeshit. And I never had a premiere on Terminator, my previous film, and I thought, okay, this is what cinema can be. A perfect consonant moment between the performer and everything that's gone before in that movie that brings you to that feeling, that culmination. And I was hooked for life, and I think you were kind of stunned, as I recall, by the impact of that. So Sigourney basically created the ultimate icon of female badassery in cinema, which I think stands, you know, to this day. And, you know, the question is, what is so relevant about that performance these days? Well, you were the intelligent woman that the men didn't listen to, and they all got wiped out. And let that be a lesson to us all. So 20 years go by before we worked, even though we're pals and we're building families, we're going through the trials and tribulations of Hollywood. It was 20 years before we worked together again, which was on Avatar in '06. And, I had written this kind of cranky but endearing scientist. And I thought, well, who can I get to play her? And the character's name was Grace Shipley. It was like staring me in the face. So I called up Sigourney. I said, I really, really want you to play this woman. And she jumped on board. Of course, I had to change the name because you can't have Ripley and Shipley. And of course, your performance in that is so endearing and so intelligent and lucid as this kind of mother figure for Jake Sully and this, advocate for the Na'vi, for the culture of the Na'vi and so on. I think it went a great deal toward making that film what it became, which is the highest grossing film in history, which it still is to this day. And I'm deeply grateful for that. Thank you. We enjoyed working together so much, even though unfortunately I had killed off her character. So I said, well, just come back and play your character's clone daughter. How's that sound? And you're going to be 15 years old. So we have late 60s-ish, should I say, actor playing a 15-year-old girl. And I assured her, this is going to be okay. You're going to be fine because you're basically emotionally 15 anyway. It's going to work out. And of course, Sigourney was absolutely luminous in the role of Curie in the two sequel films. And we both leaned into and embraced this incredible methodology, which Jon Favreau has also used, where actors can perform and then we see them manifested as a kind of a CG version of themselves. And, while it allows an actor to overcome their kind of bodily self and become anyone or anything that they wish to be, that they can imagine. And, Sigourney's not technically a method actor, I wouldn't say, but she used to come in and enter that capture volume every day with a lightness of spirit. I just felt like she had shed all those decades, and she was just this kind of sparklingly alive person that uplifted all of our spirits on that film. And I have to say, Sig, it's been such an absolute joy collaborating with you, and you bring such heart and such empathy to all your characters, of course, Curie as well. And I love seeing that inner essence of you, that spirit of you in that lanky, awkward, 15-year-old blue alien girl, because I see something of you. I didn't know you when you were 15, but I feel like I do now. And I look forward to many more years of us collaborating in our little world that we've co-created of Pandora. So I've talked a lot about our work together, which is the part of her I know the best, but obviously she's played so many iconic characters over the years, from, brass-balled corporate executives, queens, these women of power, alien killers, but also mothers and women of deep vulnerability and this kind of, almost heartbreaking vulnerability. You're the most emotionally kind of present actor, one of the most emotionally present actors that I've ever worked with, and it's an absolute joy every day. And all these amazing characters all have one thing in common, which is your intelligence and your emotional strength and your courage, just as a human being. And in between all this, we know her as an actor primarily, but in between all this, she's also a fierce warrior for the oceans, for sustainability, for indigenous rights. We went down to the Amazon to work on some causes down there, and just campaigning against climate change. And, for example, she narrated Secrets of the Whales, which won an Emmy, probably very much because of the intimate intelligence that you bring to looking into the minds and the culture of these magnificent animals. So when I'm blessed to work with you, I always look forward to the creativity and the passion that you bring to the work. So congratulations, my dear, dear friend, and please enjoy this big celebration here today for your work, but also just you, in all your glorious Sigourney-ness, right? Come on up here.
I'm going to be impossible to live with. Well, I probably already am. I'm kind of speechless. Thank you so much for being here and saying all those amazing things. I'm so touched. And I think one of the most extraordinary things about this business is that in the crucible of making these movies, which let's face it, they're really hard, and forged like Mandalorian steel, these enduring friendships develop, which is to me the best part of what we do. And aren't we so lucky? So thank you guys so much for being here for me, and thank all of you for being here. I'm just so grateful, and I'm a little nervous. So, stay. So, how about that premiere last night? I mean, let's just put it out there. It played like gangbusters, John, and I thought even the theater itself has never looked more beautiful. It was like so happy to have a Star Wars movie back in its arms again. And anyone who's wondering if people are going to come back to the theater, this movie is going to get them back and keep them coming back, because John has put together in such a masterful way live action, capture, real effects, CGI in the most impeccable way. And all the way home we were saying, well, how did he do that? Well, how did he do that? So you have to go back again and again just to take it in, man. It is so glorious, and bravo. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of it and to fly an X-Wing. My dad grew up in LA. He went to LA High, and even during high school, on school nights, he would go out and win Charleston contests with people like a very young Joan Crawford. And, it was the roaring 20s, man. They were out there. I have no doubt that under some midnight sky, he and some damsel foxtrotted their way across these handprints and footprints. He would really know. And the idea that I joined this century, because I'm, lucky me, I got in right at the cutoff, because this started 100 years ago, correct? And so I just made it. And anyway, to become part of this cavalcade of stars, this pantheon of incredible talents from every aspect of the business is the greatest honor I can think of. You know, Fred Astaire, the Marx Brothers, Sophia Loren, Burns and Allen, Billie Holiday, Godzilla. I mean, it's just a super cool club to become a member of. And so anyway, I want to thank TCL so much for this spectacular honor, and Disney for making this morning happen, and all the wonderful work I've gotten to do with you. I'm so lucky. You know, we're at the culmination of a 2-week tour for Mandalorian and Grogu, and traveling with John and Pedro and his adorableness, Grogu, sharing this superb film with Earthlings all over the world is, I mean, how often are you in a major European city surrounded by row after row of men, women, and children dressed in full armor and wearing helmets in the pouring rain, and we're all ecstatic about it. So thank you so much, Alan and Steve Aspel. I'm sure you're there. Hi. And everyone from Disney, Kathy Kennedy, and everyone from Lucasfilm. I'm so glad that I got to be part of this. Jim, it means so much to me that you're here, because you live light years away in New Zealand and you're so busy with your Billie Eilish documentary. You know, this little movie we made a few years ago, Aliens, is still, you know, in a lot of people's like top 10 list. I mean, it can't be 40 years because I'm only 39. But anyway, that's what people are saying. And only you could have written this incredible film, a heart-stopping adventure, and this great ensemble, and created such an enduring character as Ripley. Thank you. And only you would be crazy enough to turn me loose on Pandora as a 15-year-old, just as I was turning 70. I mean, man, you are really in a class by yourself. Pedro, last night, when you took off that helmet and we saw your face for the first time, I mean, the whole audience in that theater stopped breathing. I mean, you're the greatest actor because you don't act, because you're so full and you're so present. And it's such a huge honor to get to know you. It's so much fun. And I'm so glad you cut out pictures of Ripley when you were little. You shouldn't have told me that. And my only dream that has not happened is that I would have loved to wear everything Pedro wore the day afterward. I think I could get into it. I just want to give a shout out to my agent, Sam Cohn, of 25 years at ICM. He introduced me to this whole glittering world and watched over me for such a long time. I want to thank my agents at UTA, Billy, Lazarus, Jeremy, and Tara, and also Darren Tratner, my lawyer, and Michelle Margolis, and Marissa at lead. I mean, I am so fortunate to have the most amazing team around me, and that includes Brigitte, my makeup artist, and Richard, my hairstylist. You know, when I first started out in this business, I had one big advantage, although it didn't seem so at the time. I'd been told by teachers at drama school that I had no talent and I'd never get anywhere. Weirdly, having zero expectations of success in New York was the greatest thing that could have happened to me. Every audition I found in the pages of Backstage was an opportunity to prove those assholes wrong. Yeah. And every off-Broadway play that I was in for no money was a chance to kick up my heels and go crazy, because it might be the only job I would ever have. This strange beginning has honestly led me to the most satisfying career I can imagine for an actor. I've been able to hummingbird my way from one story to another, from one amazing character to another, one decade to another, following great stories no matter where they lead me. And I've worked with the most wonderful people. I'm especially grateful to John and Disney for making this special moment a part of our tour. It's the perfect moment for this beautifully helmed adventure to whisk us off our troubled planet to a galaxy far, far away, where love and loyalty and X-wings and adorableness win the day. So thank you for making this happen. Thank you for joining me with this century of remarkable show people. You know, if you're going to end up on your knees on Hollywood Boulevard, this is by far the best scenario.
Looking up, Sigourney. Looking up. Sigourney. Here's Sigourney. He's late. Sigourney.
Stay there for 7 days.
There it is. Right in the center, Sigourney. Look up, Sigourney. Look up. Pedro. The other guys?